All right, so we're gonna match the equation to the area model that's represented. Okay, so on the first one, we've got x squared plus 3x minus 4 times x minus 1. Okay, obviously that's going to be this guy right here, is b. Okay, so what we would do in this instance is we're taking the sides, we can multiply them out and then add up all the insides. Okay, and that would get us this right here. Okay, on this next one, actually, let's jump to the third one. X times x would give me x squared. 5 times x would give me 5x. Negative 3 times x would give me negative 3x. 5 times negative 3 would give me negative 15. So that would match up with A, right? Now on this one, we're taking this stuff and we're going to fill in the boxes and we're trying to figure out what this other number would be. So ask yourself, what times x would give me x to the third? Okay. And then x squared times negative 2 is going to give me what? Okay, fantastic. These diagonals are going to add together to get me negative 1. So what's negative 2 plus something to get you negative 1? 1x. Okay. And what times x would give me x? 1. Okay, so 1 times negative 2 would give me, okay, and then, oops, this should be squared. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. This should be x. And then this diagonal is going to add together to get me negative 4x. So negative 2x plus what would give me negative 4x? Negative 2x. And then what times x would give me negative 2x? Negative 2. And negative 2 times negative 2 is fantastic. So with that being said, if I do, it's in that clear plastic box back there. Okay. So with that being said, you're titling this dividing polynomials. Okay. So go ahead and write down this first example. And write down this first example, and then I want you to also draw that box. Okay, I'm going to show you how to divide using this area model first. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. All of this stuff is going to be inside the box, essentially. And then all of this stuff is going to go on the outside. So you're going to put x minus 1 on the left-hand side. And then you're going to put x cubed in this first box. Yes, ma'am. Because that's what we're dividing by. Oh, so we're taking this polynomial, dividing by this binomial. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves, what times x would give me x to the third? X squared. Then we're going to multiply x squared times negative 1. X squared times negative 1 would give me negative 1x squared, right? Or just negative x squared. So again, first thing I did was I put this guy in the first box. I said, what times whatever's on the outside would get inside. Okay. Then I multiplied the x squared times negative 1 and got negative 1x squared. Now we're going to find what number plus negative 1x squared gives us 5x squared. So what plus negative 1 would give us 5? 6x squared. Okay. Again, you're going to repeat that exact same process. What times x would give us 6x squared? Okay. 6x times what's on the outside, that's negative 1, will give us negative 6x. Because we said negative 1 plus what would give us 5. Oh, yeah. Okay, so now you're going to ask yourself, negative Yeah, go ahead.
So you're multiplying 6x times -1.
Okay. So x times, okay. Right here?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to do -1 plus what would give us 5.
Oh.
So now we're going to repeat that process and we're going to add -6x plus what would give us 2x. Positive 2x. 8x. Okay. And then you're going to ask yourself, what times x would give us 8x? And then 8 times -1 would give us -8. Okay, now we're not going to add this to anything because that last number is already -8. So what's the final answer? Well, the final answer is what's up on top. We've got x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, this is going to be considered a factor because it factors through and gets you 0 as a remainder. Okay, you are going to take this x plus 2 and we're going to put, x plus 1/2 and put it on the outside. This 6x to the third is going to go on the inside. Okay, and that's how we started that last problem. Okay, so now we're going to ask ourselves, what times x would give us 6x cubed? Okay, good. Now we're going to ask ourselves, 6x squared times 1/2 would give us what? 3x squared. Good. So that's half of 6 would give us 3 and then that x squared. Now we're going to add this diagonal together and we're trying to get to 20x squared. So what plus 3x squared would give us 20x squared? Okay. So now we're going to ask ourselves, what times x would give us 17x squared? 17x, right? 17x times 1/2. Now here's the problem. So we would have 8.5x, or you can write this out as 17/2 x. Okay. So 17/2 x, or if you want to write this as 8.5 x, that's okay too. Okay. So now we're going to add up this to make 5. So 8.5 plus what would give me 5? Minus 3x. So what times x would give us -3x? Minus
2.5. Okay. Hold on. Wait. No. Wait.
Okay. So we've got -3 that's going to go here because -3 times x will give me -3x, right? Okay, and this should be 3.5. So sorry. 3.5 x. This right here is going to be -3.5. Okay, and now we're trying to figure out -3.5 times 1/2 gives me what? 1 point. Okay. Now, let me ask you this question. Ready? Okay, let me ask you this question. -1.75, is that the same thing as -21? No. So we've got -1.75 and we want to get to -21. So what do we need to add to get to -21? -20.25. Now, this is an extra box, right?
Yeah.
Like we can't multiply something times X and get negative 20.25, right? Okay, so this is going to be what we call a remainder. I know you've seen that word before. And the way we write out our remainder as our answer is we say minus 19.75, and we're going to divide it by what's out here, this X plus 1/2. Final answer would be, the final answer would be 6x to the second power plus 17x minus 3.5 minus 19.75 over x plus 1/2. You just leave it like that. You have this written like this, where you say f of whatever the number is equal to 0. That means that x minus 1 is a factor, and that's going to become important later on. So what I would write down on your paper is I would say example 3, I would write down this function. I would say f of 1 equals 0. And then now we're going to actually divide that out. Okay, so we're going to take x plus 3 plus 2x squared minus 8x plus 5, and we're going to divide it by x minus 0. I'm sorry, x minus 1. So that first term goes in the first box, and then we're going to ask ourselves, what times x would give us x cubed? X squared. X squared times negative 1 is going to give us negative x squared. We're going to add the diagonal. So what plus negative 1x squared equals 2x squared? Try again. What plus negative 1 would give us 2? 3x squared. And we're going to ask ourselves, what times x would give us 3x squared? 3x. 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. What plus negative 3x would give us negative 8x? Negative 5x, right? And then what times x would give us negative 5x? Negative 5 times negative 1 is going to give me, which is the thing on the end, right? So if I get a remainder of 0, then that means that x minus 1 is a factor. So since we have x minus 1 as a factor, we get this as our answer, right? But we can actually factor this. Yes, no? So remember, when we factor, we're going to say a times c, which is negative 5, b is 3. What two numbers can I multiply together to get me negative 5, but add together to get me 3? Multiply to get me negative 5, add together to get me 3. Can't do it. Okay, so when she's saying, oh, there could be other factors, no, you got to leave it alone, right? So